hello, we're doing something we've never done before, which is revisiting a review because each of us has had second thoughts since we posted the review.
We've had second thoughts before, but
this is the first time we've been moved to post an addendum, and it's the review of To the Honor.
To the Wonder.
I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't know that.
That changes everything.
Oh,
it's a totally different movie.
To the Wonder.
Which we reviewed a few days ago from TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. Terrence Malick's new film, big one worth talking about.
And I might say, by the way, and this has got nothing to do with our addendum to our review, but I might say, by the way, that this morning, when I went into a drugstore, who should I bump into? Literally, almost literally. Who was there but Ben Affleck himself, flipping through a magazine on the magazine counter.
But this isn't what's had an effect on you to change your mind about the movie. First, you should watch our first review.
You should.
And Dad liked To the Wonder quite a bit less than I did.
Well, I gave it 2 dads.
You gave it 2 dads. That was pretty bad. And I gave it 3 1/4. And we've since sort of switched places a little bit.
I mean, I was convinced that when I posted the earlier review that To the Wonder, see, I got it right this time, To the Wonder was a worse film than my all-time worst film so far for 2012, The Grey. I thought To the Wonder has displaced The Grey.
Wow.
That's pretty bad. But you know what? I mean, this odd thing has happened since then. It's one of those things that must happen to most moviegoers, which is I keep thinking about particular scenes in that film, which in fact did have a kind of a grip on me that I didn't realize at the time.
Well, that says a lot.
And as I've thought about the film subsequently, I've come to believe that in fact it is a better film than The Grey.
I'm sure Terrence Malick would be happy to hear
it's
that.
Okay, Terrence, you're okay.
Your movie's better than the Wolf movie.
Yeah, I know you've had many sleepless nights since we posted our review, but it's okay. Relax. All is forgiven. Come home. So I think it's a better film than I appreciated at the time.
And what is it? Can you name a specific scene, or what is it?
Well, there was a certain visual, mostly a visual. I mean, there's some of the criticisms that we had, or I had, I still think are valid, but it had a certain kind of visual and almost hypnotic quality to it that it proved to have some staying power in my head.
Yeah.
And so I think that speaks well of a film. It had an impact you didn't quite realize at the time.
But it's like a impact? I mean, how does it make you feel?
It's like a fine wine with a taste lingering. You know, it's not a cheap bottle of plum.
This movie makes you need wine. But I mean, other than remembering visual elements,
you prefer to shoot yourself than have to see it again, something like that.
I mean, there must be emotion attached to these visual.
Well, I mean, just to give you one, for instance, because we don't want to bore our audience any more than we already have. But for example, I mentioned this to you. Some of those scenes of this bleak housing development on the flat, on the plains of Oklahoma, shot from a low camera angle. These large, modern, ugly, soulless houses looming up. No
furniture, as you noticed.
Looming up, into the prairie sky. They were kind of powerful. And that was just one example.
You've come to appreciate some of the imagery that you first had dismissed as senseless.
Yeah. Well, I was sort of overwhelmed by the pointless and almost non-existent plot.
So that you haven't changed your mind on that.
Yeah, and of course now I've seen Ben Affleck at the magazine counter. I mean,
so now you guys are like BFFs.
Anyway, so I'm not entirely retracting my earlier negative review, but I'm raising the dads. Is that appropriate?
Yeah. From
2 to 3.5.
That's a big raise.
Well, it's a 50%.
Because I originally gave it a 3 1/4.
Okay, now you.
Meanwhile, me, upon reflection, feel that this emperor has no clothes. Images.
You're right.
Wind. This beautiful actress swirling around. Ben Affleck moodily walking around, plodding around, over and over and over again, and then she leaves. Yay! And then there's briefly Rachel McAdams. Why? And then she comes back. Oh shit! She's dancing again.
Keep saying shit, but you clearly didn't grasp the ineffable beauty of the film.
At first, I really wanted to, and I think in my first review, I was swayed. And that's the thing I said too as well. When you see a film at the film festival, you want to sort of see something that's going to just, knock your socks off. You want to be elevated, and there's a mood, there's a certain headiness in the theater and in the atmosphere in Toronto during the film festival where you just want to see art and you want to be able to tell people about it and seeing something that you weren't expecting. And I was in that zone, and I wanted to
that's enough.
be in that zone. And I felt a little bit of that when we left, and I was putting the philosophical pieces together. Yeah. And then afterwards, upon reflection, a lot of it fell away from me. I still appreciate some of the things I mentioned that I appreciated visually in the artistic attempt, but it fell very flat as far as entertainment goes in general.
You're wrong. And Great film.
And
almost as good as The Great.
I don't want to, I just can't recommend it, or I don't want to see it again. So I would diminish my 3 1/4 gabs down to a 2 3/4.
There you go, folks. Make of this whatever you can, because we can't make much of it. And just one last note about the wonderful atmosphere in the Toronto International Film Festival. I love that moment, and it's been going on for years, I think, when at the beginning of the film, they flash up on the screen the anti-piracy thing, and everybody in the audience goes, "Arrgh!"
Yeah, that shows you how deep and philosophical the Toronto International Film Festival is. Thanks for watching.